Hispanic Heritage Month runs from September 15th through October 15th, and you can expect to see a lot of Hispanic and Latino culture throughout the Harrisburg area over the course of the month. And it's something that is very important to our guest, Maria Alejandra Hernandez. Thank you so much for joining us. You are the Community Cares Coordinator of MILPA, the Movement of Immigrant Leaders in Pennsylvania. Thank you for being with us in studio today.
Thank you so much for having me.
So what is MILPA? For people that are not familiar with the Movement of Immigrant Leaders in Pennsylvania, what is that?
Well, as the acronym stands for Movement of Immigrant Leaders in Pennsylvania, we dedicate on the leadership and development and through education of our community members in order to advocate for immigrant rights and refugees in our state.
And you've had this in Harrisburg since 2012, correct?
Yes, we began in 2012, 2013. My statewide coordinator, Desi Burnett from Philadelphia, was the one that came to Harrisburg and basically connected our community of Harrisburg to the East State.
What was determined, like, was this a need that Harrisburg needed because of the immigrant population in the city, and for that matter, throughout central Pennsylvania, that you felt that we needed a network or we needed a connection to the network, so to speak?
Yes, definitely. We're a network of families. We started with one issue, which is the driver's license issue, where we are advocating for HB 279, which currently is in the state legislature, to become law so that it would allow Pennsylvanians the right to a driver's license regardless of their immigration status.
So you're up on the Capitol and everything. You're advocating for bills. You're right in the thick of it.
Well, yes, not personally myself. My role is a little bit different within MILPA, but yes, we are leading the campaign called, it's a statewide campaign called Driving PA Forward, Manejando Pa'lante.
So I didn't realize that was an issue. Can you talk a little bit more about kind of where that issue stems from? And I know that's just a small part of what we're going to talk about, and there's a lot that we're going to talk about here, but I do want to kind of address this and the issue that immigrants face when it comes to getting a driver's license.
Yeah, so prior to 2002, the state of Pennsylvania allowed undocumented Pennsylvanians the right to a driver's license with an I-10, which is an individual tax identification number issued by the IRS. But after that, there was just the cutoff of thousands of drivers who had a license with their I-10, and that's how a grassroots movement began in Philadelphia through the ACLU in South Philly. So as that issue came about, and that's when we were connected as a community in different parts of the state to see if there was other folks that were impacted by this cancellation of law.
And I imagine because you're still advocating for this, you are quickly finding out that getting anything passed in the state legislature can be difficult.
Yes, our state has one of the largest legislature, but we are in the end of our state legislature session, and we're hoping, and we're really praying and hoping that our families, that are midst immigration status, are able to access a driver's license for basic needs. And
you yourself are an immigrant.
Mm-hmm.
Came here in 1996, I read.
Mm-hmm.
You were 8 years old.
Yes.
Take me through that process. You can go back to 1996, and even before then, as you were growing up in Mexico. What led you and your mother to immigrate to Pennsylvania and the United States?
Family. I think that's important for everyone, is family. Whether big or small. Family is what led us to come to Harrisburg, Pennsylvania. And I asked my mom, like, why did we come to PA? It's cold. And she's like, well, it does have the 4 beautiful seasons, and it does.
In a day. Yeah, Pennsylvania is the only place where you can get 4 seasons in a day.
Yes, you're right. But we love it. This is our home. Mm-hmm.
So what led you to leave? Why leave Guadalajara when you did?
Family. My mom was having her first grandson, first grandchild. So we wanted to meet him and wanted to be closer to my brothers. And
so you had family in Pennsylvania at the time. Who was here?
Brothers.
Okay.
Yeah, I had brothers. I'm the only girl.
How many brothers?
4.
Four brothers
Yes.
and you.
And me.
What's that like growing up?
Well, we're kind of far apart. The youngest and I are 13 years apart. So I feel like, I kind of grew up as a only child.
How did it happen where you and your mother were still living in Mexico and they were here?
Yes. So the reason we visited the U.S. and came is because of my brother having a first son. So that decision was very personal for my mom to make because she's a single mom. She was a single mom and has been all her life raising me. So raising me as a single mom in Mexico, very difficult.
Why?
Just the conditions, there's still a lot of stigma. There's still a lot of not a social support system, from the state of Mexico for single parents and for women just, being protected.
How difficult was it to come here as an 8-year-old from another country?
Totally different transition. It was, it was difficult adjusting, learning a new language, making new friends at school, sometimes even being a little bit differentiated, because I had to attend ESL classes all day. And then I would be allowed maybe 1 or 2 classes and just sitting there, like not really understanding everything or, comprehending was a little difficult. But, I made some good friends along the way. A friend named Cynthia from Peru, who, if I would see her again, I would give her a big, great hug. She was definitely a friend along the way.
What did she mean to you in terms of, was it just having another kind of like-minded individual that had gone through similar experiences?
Yes. Yeah, definitely, walking with me along the way for the first 2 years of my school life here in the U.S.
So, I mean, eventually you got to a point where, I mean, you go to McDevitt,
Yes.
and by the time you reach high school, by that point, do you feel kind of comfortable in your own skin here in this country and with the language and things of that nature?
No,
Or it still take a while?
yeah, it still took a while. I remember my one class I had to give a speech, and I just completely blank. It was kind of that shock of English and Spanish, where and a lot of bilingual folks have this, where you're thinking of a word in Spanish, but you have to say it in English, and you can't remember. So
Do you remember the word?
I do not.
Okay.
That's how shocked I was and embarrassed, of course. So, it took me a little bit to get, like you said, comfortable in my skin and my language
But
and
are-
my accent.
but even though you were feeling uncomfortable in certain areas, you were still doing incredible stuff, in your teens. I mean, from what I read, you were a volunteer with the International Service Center
Yes.
when you were 14. You worked with the Estamos Unidos of Pennsylvania at 15. So you were still comfortable enough to do these organizations, even though you were still trying to find your way.
Yes, and I think that's due to the mentoring of great teachers that I had in elementary school, Ms. Cree, Ms. Navarro. I could name them all, including in high school. And other Latino Hispanic mentors along the way that pushed me, to come forward and speak and be a voice.
How does your experience as a child, how are you able to use that experience now to help other young girls or young boys or children in general that are kind of growing up in central Pennsylvania today who have just come from another country?
Yeah, definitely, go with what is positive. Don't stick to what's negative around you. Definitely find that mentor, that advocate, and be an advocate and a mentor to others. So, and then that's what I hope to be for other students and other youth and other, first-time immigrants residing here in Harrisburg, Pennsylvania, and in the state.
And that leads us to kind of your involvement with organizations like MILPA and PAIRWN, which is the Pennsylvania Immigrant and Refugee Network. Why did you want to be so involved with those groups as you got older?
I think there's a lot of need still here in central Pennsylvania for advocacy for Hispanic heritage, immigrant women. So my involvement has been a commitment, personal commitment of mine, to pay it forward in a way, to pave the way for others as others have paved the way for me. So
What does your Hispanic heritage mean to you?
it means my soul, it means my roots, it means my identity.
Is there something that you go back to from when you were growing up that maybe a fun story, a great memory with family that kind of you fall back on and you want to kind of share with others?
Yeah, I did. Definitely Christmas. I think Christmas is one of those holidays that we still get to celebrate food, the music, just the atmosphere of it, being together as a family. Like I said, my roots come from my family. And to me, that's the most important thing. Celebrating Hispanic Heritage Month is the celebrations we get to do every time we get together as a family.
Are there particular parts about your Hispanic heritage or Latino culture in general that maybe are most misunderstood that you enjoy educating people about?
I think I'm going to take it in a two answer, if
Okay.
that's okay. One, our Pennsylvanian families, our immigrant families, our mid-status families, there's a lot of myth out there that when we speak about someone being undocumented, is just one person, but they're part of a family unit. So I definitely, want to highlight that, they're part of a family, a unit. And, it's one out of every four, for example, workers in agriculture that are undocumented. So when we say or the word undocumented, we tend to think of one individual, not connected to anything larger, but they are connected. And like I said, we're mid-status families, U.S. citizens, DACA, TPS, undocumented. And the other answer, if you can repeat the
Well, just
Yeah.
I mean, things that you want to make sure, whether it's things that are misunderstood about Hispanic heritage or Latino culture that maybe you come across it that you enjoy educating people about.
Well, personally, my heritage is Mexican. I was born and raised in Guadalajara, Mexico. So, I always like to advocate, the mariachi, the tequila, the food. But definitely, I think there's misunderstanding in the food that Latino culture is so beautiful, so mosaic, that one food plate does not cover and give you the savor of all ethnicities of Latino culture.
If you had to choose one plate, one food, one dish right now, what is your go-to dish that represents you and your culture the best?
Me personally would be birria. That's savored meat that is spiced few days before. It has the most savory taste, and a lot of people don't know that plate, but that
I've
actually is
never
from my
heard of this
hometown.
before.
Yes.
But I'm instantly, where can I get this? It sounds incredible.
Well, my brother can make it from scratch. We have a family recipe from my godfather who passed away, and his sons have multiple restaurants in Guadalajara that are birria.
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 Okay.
Yes.
How do you spell it? Just so I know I can look it up and listen, I'm going to come around to restaurants. If I don't see this, I'm walking right out. So step your game up, everyone. How do you spell it?
It's Birria.
Okay.
Birria.
And it's a days old spiced meat. Any meat in particular?
Yes, it's usually goat meat,
Interesting.
but a lot of people, make it with beef.
Okay.
And it has to be a certain cut of the beef.
Okay.
My
Got
brother
it.
would tell you all of the recipe.
I am.
I just enjoy eating it.
Listen, I mean, I sometimes I think with my belly often. So I mean, no disrespect by everything has been interesting, and I'm hooked, line and sinker. But you mentioned a food that I've never heard before, and I am there. So
Yeah, there's definitely some restaurants out there that have it on their plate. So,
here locally, plug. Go ahead. Go ahead and plug.
oh, there's various ones. I would, well, okay. So, El Rancho has it. Tres Hermanos. There's Masa. MASA. There's thinking El Verdadero Sabor de Mexico.
Okay.
On dairy and 17. And I'm trying to think.
I can't wait to try this.
Yes,
now.
there's
this
a couple.
This is lunch. This is lunch today.
Yes, it is.
We've seen over the course of the last few years, really specifically since like 2015 and 2016, the idea, and you mentioned DACA and the word undocumented, and there's been this stigma that's been attached to that, unfortunately. What do you want people to know about when you consider that stigma? What do you want people to kind of know and be educated on so that there isn't that stigma, or how do you address that stigma?
Yes, so I actually worked as an immigration paralegal a few years for the Shaken Law Group. And the reason I went back to school for public policy is because there's certain laws that are not made accessible to everyone. Just think of yourself in a labyrinth. Or think of yourself in a maze where you have this one requirement, the second requirement, the third requirement, but you don't have the fourth requirement. And you're stuck. You're stuck in a limbo system. So I would like to say, in regards to being undocumented or documented, it's just that hasn't been a path provided, a comprehensive reform for everyone to have a path to have their legal residency here in the U.S. and future citizenship. And that DACA is just a temporary. A lot of folks think that DACA is a path to citizenship. It's not. It's just a temporary. It's a work permit and a social security number. And it's not a path to citizenship currently.
Is there anything with Hispanic Heritage Month that you're looking, specifically within central Pennsylvania, Harrisburg area, that you're looking forward to the most this month?
Yes, there's a couple events that are coming up. I hope to remember all of them. So on September 10th, we will celebrate, or we have celebrated the LHAC Diversity Festival on Dairy Street. It's celebrated each year. There's vendors, food, prizes, civic engagement involved for the Latino, but it's not just for the Latino culture. There's also a welcoming to all Harrisburg residents to the festival. There's also the St. Francis Food Festival. It's a local parish of mine. They will celebrate each year the Saints' Day. So that's celebrated. It's also an opportunity for Harrisburg residents to come and attend and have a flavor and taste of all kinds of dishes from different Hispanic communities. There's also September 15. GACLA, which is the Governor Advisory Commission on Latino Affairs, will kick off Hispanic Heritage Month on the September 15 at 12 o'clock at the main Capitol Rotunda. It's always a great celebration, so hope everyone will attend. There's also Latino Hispanic Professional Association and MILPA will be hosting a college access for Hispanic and Latino students event, free to attend at the East Shore Library at 1:30. It's a free event, and it's just to give information on how to access higher education.
When this month rolls around every year, I mean, you see a lot of, I'm sure you see a lot of familiar faces, but I'm also sure you see a lot of faces that are kind of experiencing this for the first time, correct?
Yes.
And what is that like to kind of share that with a child or even an adult that this is their first kind of experience into Hispanic and Latino culture?
Yeah, definitely. I always love to invite people to the different events. I forgot to mention one more, which is the PA Latino Convention that Norman Colon holds each year, and it's from September 29th to October 1st. And just, I'm always inviting folks, posting on my social media to come to attend to these events, because I think what's important is the inclusivity, of the Hispanic community here in Central PA and in the state in any event. But it is Hispanic Heritage Month, so I hope people do come and feel safe and feel welcome to attend. You
mentioned your social media. I want to give you a chance to kind of plug whatever, whether it's social media or websites or where people can go for more information about you and your organizations.
Yeah, definitely my Facebook, Maria Alejandra Hernandez. It's where I, basically compile all the different information of the different organizations and agencies that are holding these events. Feel free to message me. I will definitely share with you the email or website that you can go to make sure that you get your ticket, or some of them are not ticket events. They're just free events that you're open to attend.
And we also have MILPA. Where can people go for more information about MILPA?
Yeah, so you can go to milpafamilia.org, family in Spanish, milpafamilia.org. Check out our website. If you're, willing and able to help advocate for the bill for a driver's license, please go to the coalition campaign page, which is drivingpaforward.org, which is also available in Spanish.
And PAIRWN as well, where you're on the board of directors. That's PAIRWN.org.
Yes, it
Okay.
is. Yes, they hold story circles each month for women on the third of each month on a Sunday, and all women are welcome, immigrant and refugee women.
Well, Maria Alejandra, thank you so much for being with us and sharing your story, an incredible story at that, coming from Mexico when you were 8 years old, and the career and life that you've made for yourself here in Harrisburg is inspiring. And we really appreciate you coming by the HBG TV 20 studios to share that. So thank you.
Thank you.
And that'll do it for this edition. We'll have so much more about Hispanic Heritage Month throughout the month. Again, this runs September 15th until October 15th with so much Hispanic culture and Latino culture and heritage throughout the month, throughout the city of Harrisburg. We're just getting started. Thank you so much for joining us.